That's all you got?
Oh, wait, I have the signed copy.
Why don't I have it? Forward it over. I don't see it. Did it go to my spam? It's not in my
Completed
junk.
Renfin now. Here it is.
Well, he definitely didn't send it to me.
Okay. It is signed and I have it.
Okay. Forward
But
it over.
regardless, I felt like we should go over it before to know how to explain it to Gail, and Ralph. And then they also added an agreement addendum.
Did they counter the price?
They just said highest and best.
Fun times.
I'll send it to Brendan too.
You guys ready to roll?
Yeah. Is Amy not coming?
I sent her a text, try to call. Not sure what's going on.
You know what? She wasn't feeling too good. I was gonna do some scripts with her this morning, and she's like, "I'm actually not feeling too good. Can we postpone it?" And I said, "Yeah, of course."
All right. Well, I appreciate the heads up. So let's get rolling.
Also, Brendan, if the doctor calls, I might have to step away.
Okay.
But
yeah, no worries. Just let us know.
Okay.
Are you feeling okay?
Yeah, no, I'm doing really good. I think I'm pretty much over it.
Good. It was that soup.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Well,
thank you, Brendan.
I got it from Donald Trump himself. He told me it was going to be the cure for you. So I was like, I got you, Leslie.
I love it. Yep. You hooked me up. Thank you.
I got you the Trump soup. All right. So no, thanks for hopping on, and definitely excited to get together with you guys. As you guys know, we've got our trip coming up, so just trying to get as much done before then. Yeah, no, it's just it's exciting to see what's happened this last week. So I guess Leslie, just because Yvette and I are pretty much on the phone all day and night, almost every day and night. I pretty much know what's going on. She knows what's going on with me, but just, I guess, in this last week, what would you say, let's just start with a win or something positive that's happened this last week.
Okay. Okay. Kind of a larger win, but I still have to follow up, is Sandra, the lady thinking about listing in Ventura. She's gone to South Carolina to look for a home as well as visit with family. So I was able to connect her with an agent out there to help her find a home. And I think the best part of that is the communication that I could have. If she picks her as her agent, that communication I can have with that agent, in the whole process. So that was a nice win. My conversation with Sandra was really good over the weekend. I can tell there's a good connection, so there's a better chance at this point.
Good. Did you get a referral agreement set up with that agent?
Yes, I did.
Good. Awesome.
I have it signed and it's with Jim. I got his signature and then I sent it back to him for his record.
Perfect. Well, keep that up. That's it's pretty awesome. I mean, yes. Well, no, on that side, you're on the receiving side. And then if you do receive them, same thing. It's like, awesome, you got a client. Yes, you do cut a check out for the referral, but you wouldn't have had it if it wasn't for it. And then, again, you get all the spin-off business moving forward on that. So it's pretty awesome. Right. So congrats on that. That's a great win. Any challenges that you would say, I guess as we do our training, I kind of have something in mind in terms of on the listing side. That's what I wanted to gear more is the listing presentation, how you prep for it, doing that. Your challenge doesn't have to be with that, but anything that would be helpful to you, like just think, okay, we got, it's 11:45, so 45 minutes, and it'll probably go an hour, but let's shoot for 45 minutes to just have the most. Like if you could learn one thing or get a decent understanding of one thing, what would be the most help to you for this next week or the start of this year?
Right. You mean within the listing presentation, right?
No, I'm saying whatever, but that's what my plan is to talk about. So if it is listing presentation, then what's something that just from your hard work and what you've been doing recently, that you're going through kind of in a day-to-day, it's just like, if I had help with this, this would be a game changer for me, what would that be?
Well, what I usually try to do is I'll go back in the recordings that we've had before for certain situations,
Right.
or like the Mike Ferry events that we've done. I have them identified as, this is where I need help. But I guess I could still use help in getting people from point A to point Z and getting them pre-qualified, having the right conversations to keep them motivated, because sometimes I've had clients I've had leads that I've spoken with, and sometimes they're like, they are looking for a unicorn, but you have to understand when to let them know that they are looking for a unicorn.
Right.
Hopefully help them get through that process of getting pre-qualified first. Because it could still work out. Maybe they want a single family home, but maybe they are open to starting off with a condo, right? So, but still helping them understand that there's some value in being pre-qualified and ready to go.
Okay. No, I think that's great. Awesome. Anything? Well, let's just stick with that. Are you good with that, Yvette? Because I know you're doing the same thing in terms of meeting people, trying to help them through the process, understanding the steps, how to get them to the next thing. Motivation is always key, and that's the key word that you talk about. And when we talk about how do we motivate other people, there is some inspiring that you can do at times given the situation. So what I've learned how to do, and it sounds opportunistic, but it's what works, is when a situation comes up, for instance, you get a listing or you have something that's coming up, you've been working with certain buyers, there's no inventory that's out there. You got to do everything in your power to try to call as many people as you can that you've been working with for some time. And you had a nice initial phone call with them. They said they were going to do something. They're going to check out other lenders. They're going to do this and get back to you. With me, I'm not sweating that person. And what I mean by that is I got too many other people to focus on. I got too many other things going on that I'll get them in the system. I'll set them up on a search. Something comes up and it triggers something that gets them interested and they reach out to me. Once they reach out to me, I start engaging and staying on top of it. Then I follow up. Then I make sure I don't drop the ball. But there's little things that trigger that. And so the best thing I can say is to really get in a good sense of where people are, not being too overly eager. Like when you say, I'm willing to work with you at your pace, you have to, it's just always a constant juggling, balancing act. And literally like yesterday, my head was spinning. The day before that, my head was spinning. It's like, oh my gosh, this person needs this. This person needs this. This person needs this. This person has a question. This person's waiting for me to set this up. And I'm literally writing everything down. And it's like, all right, let me just step back real quick. What needs to happen first? Because any one of these activities could literally take the rest of my day, take an hour, take whatever. And what I have to look at is who's the most motivated, who's going to get it done, who can I get to that next step. And or sometimes it can be real quick. Okay, if I just answer this question really quick, I can give them what they need so they know I'm being responsive to them, because now all of a sudden they're heating up. Well, they cool off real quick. So if you're not engaging with them, and an hour goes by or 2 hours goes by, they forgot what they reached out to you about. So that's the key is, and also why I want to do trainings on Tuesday as opposed to Monday. It's finally happening. We stopped doing open houses, but people are available on the weekends. They're not available during the week. And even working from home, they're busy during the day. So it's not like nobody's doing anything at home and just sitting completely available all day. Everybody's got stuff, and they got kids that are Zooming, and they got all these things that are happening Monday through Friday. So part of it is also having a smart week approach of seeing like when it picks up on a Sunday. And I'm going to get a little fired up because I talked to Ken, and Ken got fired up with the people that he's training. The dude's like, I want to take Sunday off. And he's like, what? You want to take Sunday off? He's like, we've been training, we've been teaching, we've been coaching. Ken's been killing it with everything he's been doing with them. And this dude wants to take Sunday off. Ken doesn't have enough hours in the day. He's working from right when he first wakes up to when he goes to sleep, because there's just so much that's happening and people need him and doing this. Yet he's got a new guy or a couple new guys that don't know what to do. And they're focused on their image, their branding, and Ken was just very, Ken doesn't hold back, right? Very matter of fact, he's like, you are nothing right now. what are you trying to brand? You have no past sales. You have nothing, you know, he's like, you're trying to build an image off of nothing with no production. He's like, you need to put some money in your pocket. He's like, you need to use my name and use it. And you guys know what this sounds like. You need to use my name and leverage that to be able to then, you know, figure out what you're doing first and then worry about your brand. Figure out what the process is, figure out how to talk to people, figure out how to get somebody excited to trust you to lead them through the process before you're worried about what your business cards look like, what your signs look like, what your total, okay, I got to be the next millionaire real estate agent and trying to put this image. And that's what these guys are trying to do. And so he had to school that guy. Then the other guy wanted to take Sunday off. It's like when the market is hot, when it's go time, and you guys know it, and I'm preaching to the choir here, but it's important to hear this and know it. When it's go time, we all got to be ready to go. This isn't the time to be like, well, you know, I really wish I could have a little bit more me time. Well, guess what? We can have all the me time in the world with nothing going on all day, and we're all broke, and we're collecting that stimulus check, and we're collecting unemployment and everything else because we got all the me time because I want to protect my time. And I'm not trying to mock anybody. I'm the first to say I'm trying to protect my time, right? So what we have to know is, when is it go time? And when is it time to step up to the plate and, you know, somebody gives you a layup, slam dunk it. We need to be ready for that opportunity. As you were talking about, Leslie, with Les Brown and Yvette, same thing. I love, you know, just keep bringing I'm living through Les Brown through you guys living through Les Brown. So just keep bringing it up. But it's about being ready to receive. And the coolest thing that Yvette, and, you know, I was just sharing with Yvette just earlier, is in this last week, Leslie, when we started doing Think and Grow Rich, and we started reading that again, and we started going over our business plan and being very specific about what it is that we want, all of a sudden opportunities are just starting to align with what those goals are. And I hope you're seeing the same thing. Are you seeing that, Leslie?
I am.
Awesome.
No, I think you're right. It is a mindset, as well as kind of like just throwing that positivity out there and just having the positive mindset that it's going to work out. Otherwise, you know what I mean?
Yep. And it's knowing what you want, being very clear about what it is that you want. Right. And when you write it down and you're very specific, and you got to work it backwards. It's like starting with, okay, well, this is financially the goal that I want to achieve this year. So let me work backwards. Let me figure out what are my average commissions, right? That's why we go through that business plan together. Right. I loved doing the Brivity business plan together. I love the fact that we got the Brivity system to be able to sync. And you have Gmail too, right, Leslie?
Yes.
Okay. So are you seeing how all your Gmails are lined up with every one of your clients in there? Have you seen that? Mm-hmm. Oh, well, you have to sync it up. So I'm glad I asked you that question. So basically with every client, there's a way to sync your Gmail account to your CRM.
That's right. You mentioned it. I just didn't figure out how to do it.
Okay. Well, we need to figure out how to do it. It's been a while. You know, I did it right at the beginning. There was a way to connect it, and it may be under the apps, because there's like some kind of app thing like App Store that talks about their different services. I got it, or, you know, we'll look for it, but we need to sync it, because once you have your Gmails on there, it's gold. It makes it so easy. It's just another system that refines it. So I don't have to go and look through all my emails. It pulls it up. It recognizes the email address and then pulls up all your past emails going back years with that particular person. So anything that has been sent to them, if you have, you know, a loan officer that sent them a screenshot, you have it right there. Okay. So it's worked, because I've followed up with some of my sphere, and they're like, do you remember what the numbers were? And sure enough, I pull it up, go back on the old email, clicked on it. I said, yeah. I said, we were looking at, you know, right about 525. Your payment was going to be about 3,100 a month. You were trying to keep it under 2,500. So I didn't miss a beat, even though it was 3 months since that last talk. So
what? I actually have a question for you. I just received an email with a list of my emails on on Property Minder.
Okay.
If I put that in there, that will also bring up my emails, right? It'll kind of like look for it, do a find, or no?
Possibly. That could work if there's so you would have to have a client, so you'd probably call it Property Minder, and then assign whatever the email is, if it's the same email that they give you a notification for. And
Yes.
then maybe it'll organize all that and pull it all up for you on Property Minder
Okay.
through your emails.
Okay.
So
I'll
that
have
may
to
be a
look
good
into it.
approach with that. But no, we got it. So sorry for getting a little too fired up. I could tell you're just like, oh my gosh, you know, talking about Ken, how direct and
No, it's okay. And you know, the beauty of it is I know Ken pretty
Yeah.
well, so I'm
You
happy
know.
to hear this. You know, I'm happy
Yeah.
to hear that, you know, his approaches to things, and he's always been very moldable. He's always known how to adapt to the market and adapt to what needs to be done. So it's good that he can provide you with feedback, you know, on that.
Well, it's what happened was as soon as he started saying what he was doing, ironically, the next day, I didn't stop working. Like yesterday, I started first thing in the morning. I finished at midnight last night. I know part of that was just me talking to him. And it's not like I got to one-up him. It's just knowing it's like, I can't just stop working. People are counting on me right now. They're finally reaching out to me now. So now I need to be responsive. Now I need to get to closing. Now I need to move them from step A to step B. So to get to your question, if you're doing your job of following up, right? And you don't need to be hard pressure. You don't need to be like, hey, you know, do you know anybody thinking about buying and selling real estate? You can do that. I'm not going to mock that. I'm not, you know, it's not my it's not my style because I don't like it. I like people being excited when I call them that, okay, every time we talk, we have a good conversation. And that's actually one of my good buddies, George Ramos, recently, that's what he just said. He's like, bro, every time we talk, I said, look, I don't want you to think I'm only calling for business, but I do have this new opportunity. And this is what the deal is. He's like, bro, every time we talk, I'm inspired. And he says that. He's like, you motivate me. He's like, so always, I'll never hold back on talking real estate. I said, perfect. I said, I appreciate that open invitation, right? Other people, on the other hand, all they do is talk business and try to benefit from you. And that's all they care about. So your goal is to always have a sincere interest in other people and care, empathy for what's happening in their life, whether or not it benefits you or not, whether or not you're going to get a commission out of it or not. This is a human being thing that it's a very personal, intimate relationship, and it's very stressful. And there's a lot of demands on this. So if you keep that as your focus, everything else works out. And then you're already doing a good job of calling and following up, and you're going to continue to get better in terms of moving them from A to Z. But we'll go through the process. But that's if there's any type of secret, that's the secret. Yes. Go ahead, Yvette.
Well, it's funny because the reason why I stepped away was my friend Jason, who I know they want to buy.
Cool.
And I called him this morning to be like, hey, like, how's life? Happy New Year. We didn't talk. And he owns one in Archwood. So I just called him and when he answered, that's why I walked away. But I was just like, hey, I just want to say Happy New Year. I know I haven't talked to you in a couple weeks. He's like, oh, Happy New Year. Like, what's going on? I was like, oh, nothing, just been working. I was like, hey, did I ever tell you that we actually closed at 370? He was like, I had a feeling you did, but like, no, we didn't talk. I was like, okay, well, I want to let you know. And I said, there's also 2 at 385 right now in there. So I know you're not planning on selling that one, but I just like, look, your value's going up. And he was like, cool. And I was like, well, how are you guys doing with, you know, saving? Because I know that was your next goal, was to save to buy. And he was like, oh, you know, we're in our process. Like, I still got time. He's like, I'm thinking July now. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's awesome. He's like, yeah, I took some money. I built my fiance's salon in my parents' house. So she's doing hair there. I was like, well, I need a haircut and might as well try it, right? Like, I was like, oh, well, give me Amanda's info. Like, I do need a haircut. So, like, I'll let me come over. He's like, cool. I was like, but, you know, I was like, did you want me to send you some houses just so you can get an idea what's in your price range? He was like, no, because Amanda will see it and will want it. And then she's going to be sad that we can't buy it right now because we don't have the funds. I said, understandable. I said, well, with the way the market is, like, things are taking like at least 3 months to get like an offer accepted sometimes because it's really crazy. And granted, we don't know what July is going to look like yet, but let's start maybe sending you some stuff in March so you can get an idea. And he was like, yeah, that would probably work. Like, after our wedding, we'll be able to focus more. Cool. So I was like, okay, cool. And then he just gave me his you know, he just texts me his girlfriend's or his fiance stuff so that I can get a haircut and keep talking to him.
That's awesome. Leslie, what feedback do you have for Yvette just from how that conversation went? Was it a good conversation? Was it natural? Was it effective?
I think it was great that it was natural because, like you were saying, Brendan, it goes beyond real estate. You know, when you have that conversation with people, sometimes it's just having them feel like you're there, you know, as a person before you're there as an agent. So I think it went really good. And then maybe you can have more progress after you get a haircut and you can start that company.
Yeah. I talked to his fiance a little bit.
Yeah. Get both sides of the coin, you know?
Yeah, gives you some one-on-one time right there. That was smart.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, nice job, Yvette. And, you know, I guess when I keep saying the biggest secret, right? The biggest secret is there is no secret, Leslie and Yvette, right?
Uh-huh.
It's not as complicated as we may think it is, just because maybe we have a tough time sometimes of guiding them and seeing them all the way through. Maybe they hit us with things or they just go missing and we're like, what's going on? Happens to all of us. The key is to have enough business, have enough opportunities that are happening that you focus on what you're supposed to focus on. And my job in trying to guide the two of you to be in your very best is to help you both focus on the things that are going to bring you the most success and help strengthen our weaknesses in areas that we need to grow, help strengthen our strengths and spend more time in our strength zone than our weak zone, right? So that we're as fine-tuned, we're the complete package. And that's what we want. We want to deliver exceptional service and we want to rock, you know, everything that we do and deliver it at the highest level. And it's challenging because we are going to be knocked down. It's going to happen. Things are going to happen. And the best we can do as we've done, and I'm very proud of all of us, right, in terms of our open communication and working together. And I know there isn't anybody else I'd rather be working with and spending our time with as we grow together than this group. So, you know, I appreciate you both.
Same. I agree with you, Brendan. I think that we have such a strong team and I appreciate both of you. And it's not like it started now. That appreciation started like a long time ago. So I'm just grateful it's us, you know?
Yeah. No, we got some good things ahead of us. So, and there's going to continue to be things that happen and we just got to speak and just overcome it. And again, it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? So figure out the thing. So let's just talk about it since we've kind of talked big picture. I think, in my opinion, the important things to focus on. Now let's just talk about, I'm going to go through kind of the process of what I did prepping for this listing, unless you want me to jump back on the buying side. And we're going to continue to work on it. I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's anything specifically. I can tell you just what I've done with my recent people. So I'll give you an example of the recent buyer, just kind of how it happened. So first, there was a referral from Bertha from VC CDC. That happened about 3 months ago. I reached out to them, speak to them. Very first conversation. I try to call husband, goes to voicemail. I believe I left a voicemail, and then I called the wife. I had both names, numbers, emails. Called her up, trying to remember how that first convo went. But it was a good combo, but the wall was up. She didn't know me from the next person, even though I was referred from VC CDC. I couldn't tell really how strong the relationship was with VC CDC. She had admitted that it had been a little bit of time since they last talked. So it was really interesting because it was like, it wasn't as warm of a lead as I expected it to be. So we have the initial call. I set them up on a search right away, figured out what it was, what areas they're looking for, set them up on the search. I'm trying to think of what she was telling me. I was able to do another follow-up call like about a week later and touch base and got her on the phone again, started getting a better understanding. She had told me that they refied their car, so that was going to help them increase their purchase price, and then also that he got a raise. So she had mentioned those two things. So I'm seeing some good stuff, but she reached out to me one time on a weekend to see a property in Ventura that wasn't available or something. It went really quick, but either way, it didn't work out. So that I had that one showing. So I tried to follow up, do another showing, really still nothing. So it was almost a 3-month process. And this is the reason why I'm telling this story. So it starts, I'm not too excited about it. I still send Bertha the referral agreement right out the gate, send it to her, get it signed by my dad, send it over to her. She's getting her 25%, right? And so she at least sees that. I send Bertha an update saying, hey, look, I've spoken to her. Thank you again for the referral. This is what we talked about. And I'll keep you posted with any progression. Then come New Year's. I get an email from Bertha. I haven't spoken to them in over a month to 2 months. I get an email from Bertha, and she just said, hey, just checking on Valerie. Do you have any update for them? And I told her, she actually hit me up right around Christmas. And it's like, wow, no Merry Christmas, no nothing. It's like, what's going on with this referral, right? And it's like, okay, business. So I just said, I'll reach back out to them after the New Year's, because I already knew it's holidays. Odds weren't good that I was going to connect then. So I did. So January, like 3rd or 4th, I followed up, reached out to her, hit her up. We reconnect. She tells me gives me the same update, but it's at least a reconnection. Then days later, after I give Bertha that update, she sends me another referral. So I give her the update. She sends me another referral. And then after I get that second referral, I show the second one property before the first one, and I meet them. They hit me up on a home. I don't even ask questions. I just go out there, set up the showing. I'm trying to get the face-to-face, right? So even though this is a referred deal, there's no guarantees with it. There's nothing that's concrete with it. I don't have any buyer broker with them. I have a referral agreement, and I learned this lesson a while ago. I thought a referral agreement was like, oh, well, if this other person's got an incentive, then there's no way that they're going to buy with anybody else. And I got screwed over on a $700,000 purchase. So it's like, okay, yeah, that's not a buyer broker agreement. And this other guy, when I called him up, he's like, hey, I didn't know what she was doing. It's like, okay, that sucks,
Wait a minute. Let me stop you real quick, Brennan. Yeah. So the person that gave you the referral ended up taking the client back?
No, that person backdoored me. They were planning on screwing me from the beginning. Not the person who referred me the business. The woman that I was showing property. She was Asian. I can't remember which descent. If I had to guess, Chinese. But basically, I was showing her property for about 3 months. Showed her 18 homes in one day on a Sunday. Wow. Knew the last one was the one that she wanted. She got real quiet. She had something negative about everything until the last one. The next day I get an email from her saying she wasn't feeling good. She doesn't know how to say it, but she doesn't want to work with me anymore. I see the house flips to pending status. I called the agent up, said, hey, check the Supra. He said, the person who bought it wasn't the person you're talking about. So she had somebody else that she was looking for, that she was using his money in his name, and then just went directly to the listing agent.
That happened to me before. And
wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's to be honest, it was that, and there were 2 other things that were around that same time. I think I had 3 different $700,000 transactions fall out, all like within a short period of time. Mm-hmm. And that was when I stepped away from real estate. The one time I did, I went and got hired an accounts payable job, making $12 an hour. And I was just like, all right, I'm going back to corporate life. I already had my house. I had to downsize my car, went to a Honda Civic from my Infiniti M45, and it was humbling, and just had to do what I had to do to keep things. Luckily, I was able to modify my loan, work my way up through the corporate world. That's when I went to law school. So I would still do a deal here and there, but it was like 1 a year. I mean, there was basically between law school and those 2, it was about 5 years. I really wasn't doing real estate. So when I say I've been doing it since 2004, it was 2 to 3 years up front. And then when I got back from law school from 2013 to now, so another 8 years since then. So really about 11 years of full time going all at it with real estate, But when I worked at BCCDC, it got everything going again. And it got the juices going, and I started selling again, and I started taking listings again and showing property. It's like, all right, this is what I'm built to do, So once I realized that, that's when I actually had to step away from BCCDC and I joined Troop. Mm-hmm. Hey, thanks, babe. So my wife's trying to feed me because I haven't been eating.
Gets hangry.
This is,
Hi, guys.
How's it going?
Hangry. I've been good.
I missed it. What happened?
She said I get hangry. So she's trying to keep me from getting hangry. I said, I've been good. I've been working. So,
and her response was, like, sure thing, buddy.
Yeah.
Let's avoid it.
Yeah. So getting back to it. So you heard kind of the process, right, Leslie, with that referral to what it did? And then you heard the extra steps I took. I didn't have to make those steps of reaching out to Bertha, right? I didn't have to keep her in the loop on those. But those extra few minutes I took to keep her in the loop was smart, because then another referral came. And then I met that person face to face. And then I sent her the update on that. Well, as all this is happening, my brother and sister-in-law hit me up and said, hey, look, we think we're ready to put our house on the market. And I showed them a property before they even did that. They were already thinking about it. And then I showed them rolling. I was like, you guys need to check this property out. So I show it to them, gets the juices going. That motivated them. That planted the seed, just like Yvette just planted the seed of this is what's happening in your neighborhood. So if you want a reason to motivate a seller, know what recent sales, high sales have happened, and you only call them when you get that update. So set yourself up on a search for that neighborhood and just see everything going on in that tract, active, pending, and sold. We have Brivity now. Set yourself up on an alert, right? Put in that address. Set it up so you get the active, pending, and sold of what's happening just in that neighborhood. So when something happens in that tract, when Polly Latimer is somebody who I got a beach house that she's probably not going to do anything with, but it's a nice, probably $600,000 property with a high HOA in Melrose. I have that tract on Flex MLS. Every time something happens, it sends me an email. Well, when I get that email and I see it come through, that's why I leave all those annoying Flex MLS reminders on there. If I see Polly's name pop up, I click on it. And then if I see what went out at what price, because I know when I met her face to face, I was telling her, trying to remember, I don't want to overdo it. I want to say we were at like 500,000 is what I was quoting her. The sales now are like 550 to 560 with, again, that HOA Melrose. So it's still a pretty high payment. So when that first notification came off at 5:30, I called her up and she's like, wow, it's going at 5:30. That's an extra $30,000 now. Then the next one's at 5:50. It's another 3 months later. I don't call her all in between until I get that email. Once I got that email, now I have a reason to call, whether she picks up or not. I leave her a voicemail, say, hey, just so you know, another one just went pending and it was listed at 549 now. So I know what I started at, what we were talking at. I know what's happened over the time, and I stay in touch. And who do you think is the resource? You know what I mean? When you do that type of thing. So there's little things like that. And then I know I'm going sidetracked on that story because this is all, going to what your question is. Getting back to the first one, Sal and Deanna get their juices going, right? Now they start thinking about listing. Now they start getting their house ready. That first house wasn't the house for them yet, right? At least they didn't know it was yet. And then now over time, now it's like, okay, let's get our house on the market so that we're ready to go. So we start having that conversation. And part of that conversation is this. Biggest thing that people are concerned about right now is I don't want to sell my house because I can't find a replacement property. There's nothing out there that I know that I want, and I know I want to stay in the area. That's your biggest objection handler yet. So how do you handle that objection? Ask you, Leslie. How do you handle that? If somebody says, I want to list my house, I want a bigger property, I see the prices are getting crazy. How do I handle that objection? How do I start leading them through that process? What can I do to assure them that they're not going to be homeless or they're not going to be out of a house after they sell it and not have a place to go?
Right. So the first thing that we can do is
I have a little soup here. Sorry.
make your sale contingent upon finding the next home, right?
Yeah, I'm going to stop on the soup because the beard catches everything.
Go for it. It's okay. It's us.
Yeah, I gave you a second right there to laugh and use it up. So you said the first thing you said is you can make it contingent, right?
Yes. So you don't have to sell. It could be contingent upon finding your replacement property. That could be an approach, right?
So tell me more about that. How does that make me feel comfortable with listing my house?
Well, the way it works is we would not close escrow until we find you the home that you're looking for.
Okay.
So a buyer up front would understand your stance and your situation as to what this escrow is going to look like, right? So for example, if I tell them, hey, The buyer that comes in, we're going to make it very clear that you're not going to be moving until you find your own house.
Okay.
And hopefully that gives them enough of an incentive to say, okay, sure, it's a, you know, the market's pretty high. Let's go for it, you know? And of course I would likely like show them property before listing it. You know, it helps.
Possibly. So good job. And I'm going to keep pressing you on this because I want, this is the question. Do you want to hear the question of 2021? That's the question. You handle that. If you handle that like a boss, if you can make somebody feel comfortable, if you can make them trust you that you got their back no matter what, and you can promise them with that conviction, you hear how my voice starts picking up when I start speaking in a certain way, they listen. You know, sometimes I got to soften it up and say, look, I promise you that I will protect you in this process. These are the key words that they want to hear. You're going to protect them. They're not going to be forced to do anything if they don't find the house.
Right.
So let me just flip it real quick. And I want you to rephrase it or either re-role play it or try to do it. Okay. Am I losing you? Yvette, are you still there?
I'm here. I just am trying to keep myself from like wanting to blurt out what I want to say.
Well, say it. Go ahead. Do your part.
Listen.
Sorry.
No, but I didn't want to take over. So.
No, take over. I want you to say, so same situation. You have somebody who wants to sell their house, but they know there's no inventory. They hear how crazy the market is. They hear it's a multiple offer situation. Why even waste our time? We're going to pay a ridiculous price for it. And it's just not likely. So yes, I'd like to move, but our house is nice. How do you respond to it?
Well, I understand the market is hot. So you are also going to get top dollar for your home and have those multiple offers.
Okay.
There are steps in place to protect your house during the sale. So first, we would make it contingent on you finding a replacement property and having it be a concurrent close.
Okay.
What that means is we have X amount of days that we pick to go out and look for homes and get an offer accepted. During that time, if we don't find anything, if you just decide, you know what, it's too overwhelming right now, we are allowed to cancel the deal and you get to stay in your house and the buyer gets to go on and find a different property.
Okay.
After that, once you find the home that you want to move into and you're excited, we're ready to go. If for whatever reason, the inspections come back that it needs too much work, it doesn't appraise, your loan's not going to go through, us having that concurrent close contingency keeps your home protected. So even after the buyer removes all their contingencies, as long as we keep our contingency in place, if your home that you're buying falls through, we can cancel on our buyers. That way, this home is always protected and you're never going to be left homeless.
Okay. Nice job. Just what do you think about that, Leslie?
I think it was great. It not only stated what can be done, but then it explained how it would be done. So that was really good.
Awesome. And Leslie, yours was awesome as well. Where you want to focus, right? If you can remember one thing as you're talking to them, their concern is being homeless. Their concern is selling their house and not having a place to go. So some of the questions before you start answering, because it's very quick for us. Oh, I got the solution. It's home and choice contingency. I'm going to protect you. Don't worry, guys. You're going to be good, right? Ask questions before them. That may not be the solution for them. The solution could be rent back, right? Those are the two prongs that stick out in my head: rent back and home and choice contingency. That's the conversation that I've converted buyers at open houses, because I just started having that talk with them, and they knew. They're like, damn.
I will say the rent back one scares me, so that's why I don't go that route. Like, it just takes forever to find your house. It's fine.
It does. It is. And the rent back scares a lot of people. Actually, scared my most recent sellers right now, as we're talking about how we were going to counter. They didn't want to do a rent back, and when they heard what the PITI was going to be. The point isn't saying something that you're afraid of. The point is saying something that you're aware of to protect them on both ends. Rent back protects you on the back end. The SPRP protects you on the front end. The home of choice contingency protects you on the front end. What I mean by that is, yes, we can accept this offer here. We could even delay that buyer doing anything until we find our home of choice. So nobody feels like they're out any money. And I'll tell you how I handled that objection just recently, because then you got to do it on the flip side. We're in an extremely competitive market. You have a contingent offer. You're going to get your butt kicked. And I laid out the hierarchy for our clients. I said, look, all cash offer first. It's up top. Then it's a non-contingent offer. Somebody who doesn't have a property to sell. That's got like $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 down. They may have already sold their property before, so they're cash, they're liquid, or they got retirements that counts, whatever. They got a lot of money in the bank. That's your number 2 guy, right, or girl. Then number 3 is going to be, let's say, conventional with like 5% down. Not 20, or, I would probably say 20% first. Then you're going to see 10, then 5, right? You're kind of getting the gist of it, right? As low as 3. Then after that, now you're probably going VA, then FHA, I would say. I wouldn't put FHA and VA on the same lane because VA's got a lot of incentives of why you would want to go with the VA offer. VA doesn't mean, FHA can mean a lot of times a lot of red flags. FHA can mean that they have bad credit. It can mean they're doing it because they got little money down. It can mean they had a foreclosure or short sale or BK. That's what FHA can mean, higher risk, right?
See, I never knew that about FHA. So that's very, for me, good to know because I've never really noticed or know.
So now you got to be careful because if your buyer is FHA, you don't want them to feel like crap, right?
Yeah.
Or even VA, you don't want them to feel like, well, cash is better and I'm here down at the bottom of the totem pole. This is the reality of how people view your buyers and the strength. Oh, and then so after we go to all that to the FHA non-contingent, then we go to contingent offer. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're contingent, you got all non-contingent spectrum, and then you got contingent spectrum. And contingent could have $1 million or $500,000 down once you sell the property, right? Doesn't matter. You still have these other dominoes that have to happen. And then if it's contingent on another house and you got 3 dominoes, you're looking even worse, right? So it just starts getting riskier and riskier. And that's what we're analyzing. What's the risk? What's the probabilities that this transaction is going to close and go through? So you're not going to explain all that. I just want you guys to get a visualization. And if you rewatch this, I want you to write all that out and be able to sum that up in your head, because you have to, depending on what the situation, I'm not always going to go through every single step like that. But what I'll do is I'll compare conventional, non-contingent to FHA to VA and kind of give a totem pole, and we'll talk about it. And I'll say that the cash doesn't always win. The cash is just the strongest because it's got the least amount of contingencies. Now, there's other things we can do and be creative to make our FHA or our contingent offer even more enticing. And a lot of times, it's got to be the price. So they'll put the price as the highest factor because that's what most owners are looking at. Is they want to see how much money can I make on this transaction? What am I going to walk away with? That's what's emotionally going to sway them, right? And then if you're working with a good team, with a good loan officer, again, these are all things that are going to strengthen you or potentially hurt you. So we have to find a way to give our clients the best advantage possible at winning in this extremely competitive place. And that's a hard discussion to have. So that's kind of all the details. That's kind of big picture. You got to sum it up and be able to have your own conversation with it. Getting back to the contingency question, okay, because this is key. And it's, Yvette, you killed it, did a great job. Leslie, you also did great. And Yvette, you got into a lot of details. The issue I would have if I heard it the way that you responded, and this is constructive criticism to figure out how do we put it in layman's terms.
Yeah.
You used a lot of technical jargon, which is great. You know your stuff, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of agents do that because they want their clients to feel like they're not in the know, right? I know you didn't. You were doing it and speaking it to real estate agents. Speaking to a client, it's very difficult to be able to get them to visualize what it is that you're doing. You know what I mean? So
that's kind of when I was said it first. I was like, well, what that means? Because I'm like, I know what this means.
That was perfect. And that's how you slowed it down. And that's how you brought it down to earth, you know?
Yeah.
But you were spot on in terms of the idea and the picture you're trying to paint. So if you want to know what our job is, when they say, what's, you're a salesman or you're pushy salespeople or whatever it is, our art, our craft, what we fine tune is our ability to communicate. We have to be able to paint a picture with our words. This is what Tom Hopkins says. You're like a painter, and you have to be able to paint a picture with your words that makes it very easy for people to understand and feel comfortable of something that's a very stressful situation. So our craft is our ability to speak, tell stories, to give analogies, to be able to show them, that you are going to guide them and you're going to protect them through this process. And you can't just say, I'm just going to protect you. Just trust me, I'm going to protect you. You have to be able to articulate it. So that's the key. And the people that are good are very good at speaking. And you'll hear a lot of people good at giving analogies, and being able to share stories and experiences so that people can relate to it. They can connect to it and say, okay, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So there's many different ways I'll hit it. I already told you the 2 main points of it. Are you guys doing okay on time? I know I'm doing a lot of talking here. I'm trying to get as much content in there. Do you have to go, Leslie?
I'm good.
You're okay? Okay, Yvette, are you good?
I'm good. Okay. Yeah, I just have to get Ollie by 1:30. So.
Okay. No, we're definitely going to wrap it up soon. I just want to make sure. I want to make sure I take the time to break this down in the best way that I can. So the reason why I brought that question, it's actually what I wrote in my journal. And as I'm trying to game plan and figure out what my marketing approach is going to be for 2021, I'm also trying to figure out with the RV, how I can tie that in. So as I can tell, my clients, I'll just keep saying my clients were at their most stressful point with their questions. It was, okay, say worst case scenario, this buyer doesn't work out. Worst case scenario, or we're in escrow on a purchase and this doesn't happen and we don't net as much as we think we're going to get. Like, what happens then? He's already playing out what's all the worst case scenario situations. The fear is being homeless, being displaced. So the question that you want to start with is, if we sell your place, do you have somewhere else that you can go if you need to, right? Do you have a family member? Do you are you open to any other spot if you needed to give you that time? So that's where the solution came to me with the RV. And I just joked with them and I told them, I said, hey, look, if this all didn't work for whatever reason, and we close on the sale of your home and we can't find your place for X amount of time, so we're just going to get really cozy and you're going to move into the RV and stay there until we find your next place. So the idea came to me. I was like, that's it. That can be my marketing campaign if I want to leverage that RV and take listing purchases, because I can guarantee, and I can make a guarantee and a promise that if I can't protect you with the contract, and if I can't make sure, like say you have to sell your house and you don't find your other property, then I will allow you to live there and do what you need to do until you find your other spot, right? Now, I'm not obviously going to just open that up to everybody. Just imagine, though, if I had the ability to house people while they're trying to make one. That's huge. That's invaluable. That approach would just knock you could guarantee, and 9 times out of 10, I'm going to protect them with a contract. Exactly how you said it. But I can say it and back it up and just say, hey, look, I got a house with water, with, a bed, with heat, with whatever you need. You can cook, you can do what you want to do. If you need to be there for a week or a month, or whatever the case is going to be, I could actually offer that. So that's the idea that I wrote down as I'm thinking of this issue and how do I solve this issue. What I want to bring it back to you, to everybody here, to make it relevant to our call and what it is we're doing. How can we do that with words, without an RV, without a hotel, without having somewhere to put it? And it's being able to articulate it. So the way that I try to do it, and I know I keep alluding to it, is I say, look, there's a protection, the home of choice protection. Typically, when a seller accepts an offer, they are locked into that offer. The buyer has many ways out. That seller really has one weapon and one way to get out. And what's that weapon, Leslie?
The notice trooper.
Hey,
I caught myself.
You got to keep it to yourself. I asked Leslie. She already knows.
You said you took a pause, so I just started talking.
I said Leslie. I said, what's that weapon?
Like a buyer has a million ways out of the contract.
Right?
Yeah.
Buyer has a million ways out, right? And what are those called? What's the legal word for that?
Contingencies.
Yep. And what's the definition of a contingency? How do you explain what is a contingency?
That's a good question, and I do have the answer.
What's that?
No, I don't. I said that's a good question because I was like, I don't know.
I know. I want to hear Leslie first. We're doing Socratic method. This is our training. This is how we're on our A game. This is how we're ready when that opportunity comes, right? So
Right.
Leslie, tell me, I don't know what a contingency, I see contingency all over Zillow. What does contingency mean?
Perfect. So Brendan, thank you for bringing that up. Let me start by explaining what it is. There's different kinds of contingencies, right? The one you see on Zillow is likely the seller has to find a replacement home before selling, right? That's probably why it's listed as a contingency for the sale on Zillow. Now, when we're talking about escrow, when we open escrow, a buyer has 3 contingencies. The first one is the inspection. This is where you have those generic 17 days to do all your investigations to find out if this is the right home for you. Sometimes it's shortened depending on what the contract says and what we decide we put on that contract or what we accept from the seller. The second contingency is the appraisal. So if the home doesn't appraise, whether it appraises for more or appraises for less, that is something we can tackle when the time comes. But then you're able to back out at that point if it's what you want to do at that time. The third contingency would be the loan. If there's any issues with the loan and you're unable to fund and you still have that contingency in place, then it's another way out of the contract. Those are the 3 major, but there are a million ways out of the contract.
Awesome.
Those.
So not a million, but awesome job. Number one, you sounded like you knew what you were explaining and leading through the process. Okay. You did a great job with it. It was very easy to understand. You kept it simple. You brought up 3 main points, which I liked, 3 main contingencies. And I would, and start with that. Don't say 3 definitive, because you said 3 contingencies and then you said a million ways out, right? So what you want to say is there's 3 main hurdles or contingencies, 3 main things that we want to overcome, right? And you hit them. Those are the 3 biggest ones. Now there's also other ones, right? There's termites, you got HOA and CCNRs, you have all these other ones that could come up. The home of choice contingency. So I always want to start with, on the definition, your explanation, awesome. But always start with clean, concise, to the point from the gate. And I don't do a good example of that. I do exactly what you just did, where I start explaining, right? So the quick answer to contingency, do you know what it is? What the quick answer is, Yvette?
Oh. Well, no, that's where I was trying to think. When I explain to people, like my friends, when I'm talking about work, and I say, they got to remove their contingencies, and they say, well, what does that mean?
Right.
And I say a contingency is something that if it's not up to like the buyer standards, the buyer can cancel. Yep. So I try to say, like I say, so like, for example, an inspection contingency is saying, hey, we're buying this house, but unless we, like, after we do the inspection, if it's not up to par, we can still back out. And then my friends go, oh, okay, I guess that makes more sense.
So, and we have to be careful with too, because it is true. And as you've seen, I've had a few clients recently just back out of transactions, 2 big ones recently that they canceled based on what I promised them, and I backed them up and they got their checks back and everything worked out. Doesn't help us out in terms of closing a transaction and commission, right? But it is protecting our clients. It's doing what we promised we're going to do. We're going to back them whether it's the right decision or if it's the wrong decision. Even more so, that's why they got us in their court. If everything works out, what do they need us for? They got us in for the problems. They got us in for the issues, right? That's why they need us in their corner for when the challenges come up, so that you can guide them in the most honest way. Now, I'm not talking about being afraid of everything, but I'm talking about leading with your heart and always looking out for them. So the quick answer, 2 contingencies. And the reason why I say you don't want them to think they can back out just for anything, it's a good faith excuse out of the contract.
That's right.
That's your quick answer, okay?
Good faith.
What is a contingency? Your good faith excuse out of the contract. And I heard an attorney say that right after I got out of law school. I was like, that was perfect. Like, that is the perfect definition of what you can give. And it ties to everything, even if you don't think it does. Even if you're seeing contingency on Zillow, it's almost a misnomer. It's exactly what, like when Yvette was talking about it, and you did a great job of it, Realtors, we know what you're talking about. The regular person doesn't know. So what that contingency word is up there, and lawyers do this all the time, is they put legal jargon out there to make you feel like you don't know something. So now it creates a demand or a desire to, well, I need an attorney because I don't know what that word is, right? That's what contingency is. So you hear agents talk about it, and lawyers are the ones who came up with these words and these definitions.
Yeah.
So the reason why I say there's a difference between a good faith excuse and a bad faith excuse, say you remove everything, including your appraisal contingency, you get down to your loan. Now you remove the appraisal contingency up front, and the appraisal comes in low. And you can still do the loan. You still got the money in the bank to come out with the difference, but you're pissed that your property is now $20,000. You got to come out of pocket an extra $20K because of what you agreed upon, and you remove the appraisal contingencies out the gate.
This actually is very valid for me and Leslie, because that counter says no appraisal contingency, and that is Gail and Ralph's biggest hang up, is it not appraising.
Right. So if that happens and that's their hang up, they're probably going to have to pass on it, which sucks, unless you can have that talk with them and assure them you have other good faith excuses out of the contract. Now, the key is you as an agent. If you remove everything, you've already removed that appraisal, and that appraisal doesn't come in, you're going in bad faith. If you already know that they don't want to cover the difference, so a good agent, even if they lose it, will say, you know what, my client, I don't know how they're going to feel about paying more for a property than what it appraises at. And that's exactly what this agent just did on the recent listing. She said it out the gate. She's like, I don't know how comfortable they're going to feel. I said, I get it, but we're going to pick one buyer, and we want to make sure whatever offer you guys write is the number that you're willing to back, no matter what, right? And with VA, that's hard because they got zero money down. So I don't want to make it too difficult for VA. I want to support VA, but my first priority is to support my seller and their best interest in what they're trying to do. So getting back to that question, you cannot cancel on having one way out of the contract, your loan contingency, one door out, if you can still perform on the loan. The only way, and I've spoken to the DRE hotline about it, the only way you can use that loan is if that loan is denied. And so your underwriter or your loan officer would have to have something come back from the underwriter saying, we can no longer do this loan, they are not qualified, and see a denial, and then you can use the loan as a way out of the contract, not because there's a difference in the appraisal.
Which that makes sense to me, because I get, like, that makes sense. Like, just because it doesn't appraise, but you can still get the loan, you're stuck. Like, sorry, it's coming out of what you're putting down.
That's the good faith excuse part of it. So just because you have a way out, see, a lot of people think, oh, I got one way out, I can get out for anything. Now, this is the thing. What we know, and it's not to be unfair. You're always supposed to act fairly, honestly, right, with integrity in the business and to do those things. At the same time, just as lawyers do not help the other side win, right? Real estate agents, I'm not trying you to be a cutthroat, we're all working together to try to do this. You don't always have to tell the other side how to do their job. And most people in our business, unfortunately, do not understand the contract. They do not understand the contingencies and the removal of them. And they know, or they believe, and I'm talking people have been doing this 20, 30 years. They think, oh, well, you had one way out, you can get out. I'm not going to waste my time. They may know it, or they may just not want to fight you for it because there's still some gray area there. So nothing's black and white. Always talk before you're removing your contingencies. And this is the biggest thing I can emphasize with our team. If you want to do a lot of business this year and you also don't want to take on more liability, anytime you get to a situation where you're about to remove contingencies, give me a call, give Yvette a call, right? Or Yvette, same thing, give me a call, give Leslie a call. Let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Have that conversation, because once that's removed, the bell is rung, and now you have a fiduciary duty. You're held to a higher standard than your person you're representing. You're getting paid a lot of commission or a little commission. It doesn't matter how much money you're getting paid. You're in a trusting position of a superior knowledge than your average person, that if they get screwed or they lose, you are going to be held liable, and they're going to be able to come after you, and they're going to come after you, and they're going to come after the brokerage, right? And that's the thing, that once that bell is rung, you can't unring it. So when it comes to contract formation, as you're negotiating terms, that's the time to pull us in. If you're getting to request repairs and they're putting pressure on you to remove contingencies, that's when you bring us in. And it may be difficult. And Yvette knows how I work in terms of contingencies removals. I'm going to do everything I can, not to be the one dragging my feet, but to be the one protecting my client's interests. And I don't hide. I will be straight up and talk to the other side and say, hey, look, I know it's our 21 days, but I need a couple more days. And depending on who it is, you know, because Yvette, I know you've seen it with like the Pliskys. With them,
Yeah.
we just removed it. And it was out of respect and out of good faith and knowing we were at a good place. And I could do it a little sooner than I needed to, right? And it's like, okay, he scratched my back. I'm going to scratch his back. And I have the confidence because Jason's doing the loan. We heard all the things we needed to hear. Now it's time to do my part, not just be an ass just because I can do it. Doesn't mean I will do it, right? So you got to know when you got to play ball and when you maybe don't have to just be the nice guy or the nice girl and just say, okay, well, I know it's our time, so let me just remove all our contingencies because you want to talk about stress and freaking out. That weekend will be your worst weekend that you deal with through the whole year because you're going to be on pins and needles. And typically what can go wrong will go wrong. And on that Monday, you're going to get the worst news that you ever had. And it's like, why did we just remove that contingency? And I just left the Nickmans, who I visited their house, and he still brought up the Ventura situation. And he was just like, man, I still felt so low when I had to call you and tell you after going through everything. We had one way out of the contract. This is the situation I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Loan. We had the loan contingency. Last thing to remove. The agent was writing me, and he knew he was writing me to remove that final contingency. Something in my gut just said, don't do it. And we had two people with cancellations that seemed to be almost out of our control. And it just taught me the lesson. I was like, if I'm ever going to drag my feet, this is the year I'm going to do it because I'm not going to lose or put anybody's money in jeopardy. So sure enough, I hold, and we're talking like probably 30 days into escrow. And I'm like, I'm not removing that loan, not going to remove it. And he sends it to me. And I just told him, I said, hey, it's not going to happen. I said, I'll try my best on Monday. Monday, I get a call from him and he says, hey, I don't even know how to tell you this. I just got deployed. He's like, I can't go through with the house. He's like, my wife's still stuck in quarantine. She's still in Texas. She can't even get out here. We just got hit. Her business is getting hit. He's like, I don't know. I don't know what I have to do, but I got to pull out and I'm hoping they understand. He's like, I feel horrible. So I call him up. I'm like, you're not going to believe this. He's getting deployed. He's going to be gone in Japan. So if I don't do my job and follow my instincts and protect him, we're fighting over $18,000 minimum, you know, on that earnest money deposit. And I want to think that they wouldn't have gone after it, but why give them that opportunity? Why give them that chance? And that's sometimes the talk I'll have. I'm like, why? You really want that? You really want to go after that earnest money? Oh, no, we don't. And it's like, then trust me. What do you have to lose or gain? And that's literally the talk that I had with Willie Schmeltz when he was putting pressure on me to remove all contingencies. And I just told him straight up. I called him up. I remember being at the drive-in with my family, and I'm out there, and I'm on the phone with him. And I'm like, Willie, I said, look, man, I'm asking you as a friend and as a colleague. I said, I just had something just fall through. We're going to close on Friday. But I really, really would not feel comfortable removing that final contingency. I know we're going to close, but you never know what can happen. And I just had one, and I told them the situation where, you know, it was the type of loan they had. They froze the funding. We thought everything was good to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then that hit, and then now we couldn't close the transaction. And he's like, well, you know, I really would want it. I said, I would really love to give it to you. All I can tell you is we're going to close this deal on Friday. I promise you that. I said, but why fight over this if something were to go south? Why give the seller an incentive or reason to say, no, I want that check, right? He's like, you got a good point. And he literally was just like, that makes sense. And he's like, well, she'll pretty much do whatever I say anyway. She doesn't know what that means. He's like, I'll trust you on this. Friday, we closed the transaction. I never removed that final contingency. My mom hits me up like, why didn't you remove all your contingency? She calls me. It's like, we don't have the final contingency removal. I said, because I had a talk with him. She's like, wow. And he said, yes. I said, yeah. Because I had
that's like Poinsettia. We haven't removed all contingencies on Poinsettia yet.
I was about to say that the loan, I actually don't feel comfortable removing the loan for Poinsettia.
So what's going on? Is it still no CD?
Why don't you talk to him? I have to use the restroom while you guys talk.
Sure. So David's still working on it, and he's gotten over a hurdle, one of the highest hurdles, which was proving their rent, right? Their monthly rent. But now he's still working on getting us the CD. I don't think it came in today. Maybe.
Has he given you a time of when you should expect it?
So we did an extension of 10 days, and
Uh-huh.
it's on this Friday, the 14th. Yep. I think it's Thursday.
Okay.
I mean, there's no way we're closing.
There's no way we're closing. So I was gonna call Bruce and Allison today, but I want to know. I have to call David first.
Absolutely. When you call them, put me on the call with them. Just say, hey, Brandon wanted to be a part of this call. Put me on. I just want to know as much of the details ahead of time. So I need to know when it was supposed to close. What was the reason for the delay? He told you it ahead of time. I know we wrote, a shorter escrow period, knowing we possibly needed to extend.
Right.
I'm not looking for the excuses. I want to know the solution and what was promised and why this isn't coming through right now. So just as many of the facts you can give me so that when we talk to him, we're good. Yep.
His reasoning is the underwriters that are used for a manufactured loan, they're not part of his team. They're part of a different team, and it's a little bit harder to get all the information quicker. But yes, those are good questions to ask David.
Has he spoken to the listing agent yet?
Yes,
all the time.
In contact. Luckily, I mean, that's the reason, Harold understands the situation.
Harold?
Harold is the agent.
Is it Harold Powell?
Yes.
Okay. Remax?
Yes.
All right. Well, hopefully it all works out. It's they're probably, have they sent a per diem yet? Okay. Well, if you need to, be ready to start talking about per diem options. And what that means is for the extension, you're basically going to be paying for the extension. So every day that it's delayed, try to get another extension without having to offer that. But if he says, look, we're not going to do it again, we're just going to put it back on the market, say, well, what about doing a per diem for the amount of, and try to come up with an amount that they're willing to pay so that they can extend it out. So just be ready for that. So go ahead, Yvette.
I was going to see, did you talk to them about the garage thing for the VP at all? Because the TC's asking for the VP and I haven't made it.
I did. Bruce is okay with everything.
Okay.
So just do no discrepancies then?
Right.
Okay.
He's like, I'll fix it, or I'll try and fix it.
He told me, he was like, I'll try to pull it out. So he seems very handy.
Now's not a time to try to ruffle any feathers,
Right.
You want to be cooperative, get that VP over and tell them that too. Say, hey, we want to get it over. We don't want them thinking that we're asking about this right now because we need the time. Because if they want, they can send a demand to close escrow and kill the deal.
You're right.
So the communication's key, but hopefully that'll get worked out for you. So I'm sure you guys got it. I'm glad to hear you guys' just efforts towards that. And thank you, Yvette, too. I know you went out there to do the walkthrough. So just appreciate you stepping up for us.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, I don't know if I did a good job explaining that whole contingency situation. I appreciated hearing you guys do it. Do you want me to keep talking or do you want to wrap up?
I got to take the trash out before I go get Ollie, but I can do like 10 more minutes if you, I don't know how much 10 minutes gets us.
Yeah, I know. That's like a word for me. What do you think?
I know.
Do you want me to try to keep breaking it down or do you feel pretty confident that you know how to break it down?
With what you explained?
Yeah, so I've told you just parts of it, but it's a critical thing to have. So the biggest thing I try to focus on said, look, I'm going to protect you. That's the one thing I pride myself in is knowing the contract really well, right? I understand the forms and I know how to protect you. So as I tell that part about the seller has no way out, I say, see, what we put that home of choice contingency in place. And when we negotiate that up front, just like you said, when you said we make it clear to the other side, Leslie, we put into place, it's called the SPRP, seller purchase or replacement property. But what that gives you, it gives you an out. So if you don't find your property that you're looking for, we can cancel your transaction. So that's usually the first thing that they're like, wow, I didn't even know that was a possibility, right? So you just want to just let them set on that and see how comfortable they feel with that. And they're like, okay, well, how does it work then? Like how much time will we have to find a replacement property? Then you want to know the answers, like the back of your hand, the way that Yvette, was explaining it. And you could just say, well, boilerplate is 17 days to find your replacement property. And then if we need, we could even check a box and put 30 days or 60 days. Just remember,
Right.
the longer you put on there, you got to have a buyer who is willing to be able to wait that much time, right? And it could affect how marketable your property is in terms of selling your house, because not everybody wants to wait, right? So you look stronger if you have a buyer and they're in escrow and they've removed all contingencies. So we can do it one of two ways, but in this market, we're likely going to need them to start right out the gate, start inspections, get their earnest money deposit in, and remove all their contingencies. So now you as a buyer can be as strong as you can as you go and write offers and compete with other people. We
Right.
may
Now
have
I
to be thinking outside the box. What's that?
now because I was looking at the SPRP trying to understand it all, what you did on ours.
Now you get it.
Now I see, because you put we could extend it another 30 days.
Yep.
And that we give notice when we find the replacement property. Now it's the pictures.
So I wrote the SPRP, Leslie, just so you know, in a way that you would typically never write it when you're representing a buyer, because you don't want to commit money. So that this is the complicated situation that I had to break down to my buyers and set proper expectations. So I never told you the good part of how it all worked out as I was telling you that whole story. But basically at the end, I send them, when I got the photos, I sent the photos to all the buyers that I was working with, whether they're looking in North Oxnard, whatever. It's like, hey, I got this listing coming up. These are the photos. If you want to check it out, let me know. Okay, yeah. So it's another touch, right? It's value that I'm sending them. The one I just saw on Wednesday, Thursday, they're stuck on North Oxnard. They didn't want to see it, or they didn't get back to me. The one that now, because he works in Culver City, he's looking out in Simi, Woodland Hills, everywhere. And I haven't still met them face to face. Now they say, yeah, we want to check it out. We were willing to go all the way out to LA, but now this is in Southeast Oxnard. Let's check it out. So I set the appointment. They're the first ones to see inside it. They love it. They go through it. They feel so grateful that I gave them the opportunity on my listing for them to be the first ones to go in. Solidifies the relationship a little bit more. They talk it over. Since it's with BC CDC, it doesn't work on the weekends. So they had to wait till Monday, which stunk because I couldn't do anything. I didn't know if they could write. I didn't know anything, what could happen with it. So I have to wait till Monday. So that's just some of the challenge with it. But that's how it all comes together. There is no science to this. It's just knowing you give value, you give opportunities, people see it, and you try to solidify those relationships.
Right.
You go out there and you show property, the house will sell itself, but you can ask them the questions. You can tell when there's interest, and you can let them off the hook. Or you can ask them that closing question, say, well, just give me your thoughts about it. Not what you like, what you don't like.
Right.
What are your hesitations in writing on this particular property? Hit it. Like, go for it. Oh, it's missing screens, right? Missing screens is the reason why you wouldn't write on this property. What does that roughly come out to?
Right.
Oh, tens of thousands of dollars for screens. Well, I got a guy that's a little cheaper than that. Probably can do each screen for about $100. Actually, somebody who can do it for like $20 a screen, as long as you do their cleaning with them. It's like $250 for the cleaning, and then they'll do like $20-$30 a screen. But again, this is for my contractor I can't get a hold of right now. So, but it's not $10,000, right? So you figure out what their hesitation is, and you hit it, and you slice it, and you kill it. And there is no other excuse, and you're willing to hit it head on, and then you get them to writing, and you move, and you do what you got to do. But I don't put pressure on these guys. I talk the real talk, and I give them the real information that they need to hear. And I trust that they're going to be smart enough and know that they need to do what they need to do if they want to have a chance at this. And I'm not afraid to say, hey, it's an extremely competitive market. They're like, we know, right? And so give them the opportunity, let them do it, give them the space, ask them the questions, and then get back to it. So that summed up the beginning to end, the A to Z. Now getting back to the contingency, I know I keep going and then I'm trying to come back. It's the SPRP. We talked about it and we know how to kind of lay it out. It gives them that protection. The second thing, the way I hit it is like a two-part thing. I say, when I go up to the lady at the open house, I went up to her. She kind of blew me off at first. Then we start talking. She came in at one point. I held the door open. We start talking. I walk her out to like the patio area. And then I just said, so what brings you in? She's like, well, I really like this place. I like the wood floors. I was like, that's great. Is this your first purchase? Oh, no, I own a condo up the street, not too far. Oh, okay. Roughly, what that condo is worth? Well, we think, maybe 325, 350 is what I'm seeing. But man, if we could get like 375, that would be great. And this is like the pace that she talked at. I said, well, have you ever, like what brought you in? She's, oh, I just saw the signs. I was like, cool. I said, well, just so you know, there's two main things that you want to figure out. One, you want to know how much I'm going to walk away with from the sale of this home, right? And then once you know that, then you can know how much money you're putting down to see what monthly payment you feel comfortable with. I said, so those are really the two parts of the equation. And
Right.
she's okay. And, she's listening to what I'm saying. I said, so do you know roughly what you could walk away with? She's this is kind of what I got. She's if I could get 375, that'd be awesome. I said, well, I'm pretty confident. Tell me about your place. And then she's like, well, it's got 2 bedrooms. It's tri-level. It's about 1,100 square feet. It's over on Rosewood. So I didn't know exactly what she was talking about. I knew kind of enough. But what I did know was that there was nothing on the market for that price point that she was looking for. I was like, what's your HOH? She's like, 350. And I said, you got an attached 2-car garage? She's like, yeah. I said, well, if you're comfortable with it, be more than happy to check your place out, let you know what I think about the property, and at least give you an assessment on that. And then I got a great loan officer. He can tell you what the numbers look like. And we go from there. She's like, this is awesome. Like, I just come in here and you just give me all this information. Like, I feel, she's like, this is so exciting. And all I did was I asked her some questions, and I knew where I wanted to wrap my head around. And then it got to when I met with her in person, well, I don't want to sell my place because there's nothing out there that I know that I can afford that I want to get.
Right.
And that's when the home of choice conversation came in. So I had to get my foot in the door with starting with, you want to know what you're going to walk away with? What's your monthly payment? That 2-prong approach, right? Then I probably mentioned something about the home of choice contingency there at the open house. And then I explained it when I met her in person and went through her property and really broke it down. And I said, look, you're not going to be forced to sell this house unless you get the house that you're looking for. I promise you that. There's a protection we put in place to make sure that you are going to get what you're going to get. So she has to understand that. And you just try to keep it in layman's terms as much as possible. Say the other option is we close on yours and we do a rent back situation. And the rent back will give you money in the bank to make you a stronger buyer. And so if at some point we got to close and we got to do the rent back, that's up to you. And most people don't feel comfortable with that. So just being a heads up on it. But then I share a couple success stories with it, and they're like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. So you got 2 ways of hitting it. Okay.
Makes sense.
All right. I'll wrap it up now. So I don't want to keep talking about the same thing over and over.
Thank
You
you.
got it now, Leslie? Are you going to be able to break it down? You want to finish it off, or do you want to just wrap up? You want to tell us how you?
I think I got it.
Well, let's do it. Let's hear it. How are you going to do it? Come on, one more time, Leslie.
In like the seller, right? So okay.
Yeah. So Leslie, I'm interested in selling my place, but there's no inventory out there. So I don't feel comfortable putting my house on the market until I know I can buy a house. So what do I do?
This is okay. Let me see. So Brendan, you're looking to purchase. You're looking to sell and purchase, right? And you haven't seen anything you liked on the market. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, I'm not, I'm just watching what's on the market, but everything that I see go up goes so quick, and there's just nothing. Like 3 months ago, there were some good homes, but now there's nothing. So, I mean, I hear that. Do you think more properties are going to be coming on the market?
Brendan, what I can tell you is that if you're seeing other homes go very fast, yours can go fast as well. No, wait a minute. Hold on. This is horrible.
Listen to the question that I asked and have a direct answer first, okay? Try to do it. Don't do what I do, where you start explaining before you answer the question directly. Answer the question and then start explaining if you have to explain anything, okay? Does that make sense? So I'll flip it again. So just start off with, the question was, do you see more inventory coming up? Do you see more houses coming up on the market?
This currently, right now.
Yes. Don't hesitate. You got to know. You already know the answer. Okay. Do you see, are more homes going to come on the market, Leslie?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. There's a lot of people right now that are thinking about selling their house. People have been cooped up in their house. They've been stuck at home. They realize they want more yard. They want more house. They're working from home. They're in their bathroom working from home, right? You can see my bathroom behind me right now. They know they want a different situation.
Right.
And the rates are extremely low. So people are thinking of getting out of the state. They're thinking of getting out of their current situation and improving it. So yes, you're going to see a lot of houses come on the market soon.
Right.
Okay.
So Brendan, you're going to see a lot of homes pop up on the market.
Perfect.
So tell me, what are you looking for in your next home?
No, don't. Oh, but I mean, good. That's good, right? To find that out. But my issue right now is I don't believe you, Leslie. You're telling me to list my house. You're telling me to list my house, and I'm going to pay you a lot of money to list my house. I think you just want a big fat paycheck, and I'm going to be stuck out here with my family on the streets with nowhere to go. Like, I can't do that to my family.
Well, I know a guy with an RV. You'd be okay.
I like that. That's still a better answer, even if you're joking, even if you're messing with them, and to have fun with it. And that's what I did with my brother and sister-in-law. I'm like, look, guys, you're not going to be homeless. I got an RV, so we're just going to get cozy, right?
So, Brendan, to be serious here, I have ways that I can help you in this process. Now, you're thinking about selling your home, but what I'm hearing is you don't want to be homeless. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't either, so I don't blame you. So what I can tell you is there are ways that we can still open escrow to sell your home without necessarily selling it immediately, right? So if you're thinking about finding a home before you sell yours, there's a contract that we can put in place to let the buyer know that they won't obtain the house until you find your home of choice.
Okay,
now,
let's pause that real quick.
Yes.
Not if you're thinking about it. My recommendation as your agent would be to put you in the strongest position possible. So you got to sell it first, right? To put you in the strongest position possible in this competitive market that's out there.
Right.
My recommendation would be we got to get your house listed. We have to have it in escrow with a strong buyer that is flexible to our timeline. So we're not just going to take any buyer, not just because they're asking to offer a ridiculous amount. We want the right buyer, the buyer who's committed to our house, who's going to be flexible to us. And what I can tell you is with this low inventory market, you will have all the control in the time that you need to call the shots so that so you can have enough time to find your other property. Can you do that? Go ahead, Yvette. I know you're go ahead.
No, I wanted to say, get like a couple little things. Like when you said to Brandon, you said, I can do a couple things, like I can do something to protect you, and it would be better to because you want them to feel like there's already that partnership there.
Yes.
And secondly, which is, I know we're practicing, so it's a little different, but getting into the habit of just keeping that eye contact with them, because you have a tendency when you're thinking to start to look away or look down, and it makes it seem like you don't know as much of what you're talking about because they're seeing you think about it. So it's trying to show them like I'm not trying to get to another answer.
Right. No, that's good. I agree with you on that. It's
trust
one of those things. I think preparation helps with that.
Well, that's why we're practicing it. And this is the place to think about it. This is the place to hesitate, but it's also picking up on it and knowing you're better. You know, it's one of the things Tina used to say, if she made any type of point, she's like, look, when they ask you what price are you going to sell your home for, you tell them you're going to get this amount of money for it, right? I'm the authority. This is the amount of money I know you will get for the sale of your home.
Right.
And if you don't get it off that price, you can take that pressure off. The whole point she's trying to say is be sure in whatever it is that you're trying to tell them. Like when you broke down how do you explain contingency and you walked them through it, it was beautiful. That was perfect. You were the authority. And that's exactly how you want to do it. So when I ask you a question, and this is the big one. So if you write anything in your journal, if you're like, okay, what's my homework? It's how do I master this question? How do I assure somebody that they can list their house and buy another property in the same area, and that it's getting them top dollar. That's anybody can do that. I hate to burst all of our bubbles, right? It's a low inventory market. As long as you have half an idea of how to market and what to do to, get that multiple offer situation, you're going to be able to do it. It doesn't take a genius to figure that part out. The challenge is how do you keep everybody working together so that you have enough time to find your replacement property. And the way to do it is setting expectations. So you want to set the expectations for your buyers and say, hey, look, I typically would actually want you to wait until they found their replacement property before we started our timelines. I said, but to be honest, that hurts everyone. And they're like, what? I said, it hurts everybody, because if we're trying to compete, you got to put your hat on, your other hat on, the other side's hat on. If they're trying to get their offer accepted and you haven't even started your time frames, there's too many loose ends and too many ways out of the contract, right? So this is how I overcame it, and I haven't shared it with you yet, Leslie. I told him, I said, look, if it's about $1,000 for your home inspection and your appraisal, that's your out of pocket that you could lose. Your earnest money, I'll protect that. You'll get your $5,000 back. Their earnest money is only $5,000. I'll get your $5,000 back. But that inspection cost and that $1,000, I will reimburse you if the sellers can't find a replacement property and we have to cancel and you paid for it. I'll reimburse you on your next purchase as long as you use me. Okay. So now I protect everybody. Yes, it's money out of my pocket, but what does it do? It secures that buyer to buy with me if things hit the fan on this one, right? Do you see how you use that to your advantage? And now you just got everybody to work together, even though, yes, it's more in favor of the seller than the buyer in that situation, because the buyer can move all along, remove all contingencies, put their earnest money at risk, and this seller can cancel at any point in time. That's not fair. That doesn't seem like a good thing, right? But it's what's necessary. And because I'm not somebody who's just, sorry, guys, I care about them, I'm going to make sure that they're whole as it's all done. But they want the house, right? Go ahead. What were you going to say, Yvette?
Oh, I was just scratching, actually. I wasn't actually, sorry. But no, I mean, I think, no, I think like that is like the biggest key to like talking to the people. Like, because I mean, I've worked under a couple of bigger names like Brandon and
you just
and, I worked with Eric. He used to do a lot of stuff too. But when I watched them talk, that was always something I admired about Tina. Because as a woman, she's a strong woman. And when she speaks to people, she speaks with authority. And sometimes people don't respond well to it. But it's something I know I talk to people in a very strong way. And that's what I admired about her a lot, was like when she believed something, she believed it with conviction and fought tooth and nail for her clients and would say, just how it was. And some people, will say, oh, well, she's a bitch. But I just say she's a savvy businesswoman at times. So sorry about it. No. But, that's going to be a thing, I think, to work on even with myself, because I get nervous. Like when Gail started asking me like contract questions, I was like, I'm here, I can do this. But, neighborhood questions, I'm going to be like, who knows? You might know more about this neighborhood than I do, So.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What Yvette is saying is spot on. But Leslie, biggest thing more than anything, stay true to who you are, and you're great. And there's a reason why people trust you, like you, and allow you to follow them. The thing, it's picking certain words. There's a book called The 4 Agreements, and I think that's The 4 Agreements. If you get a chance to read that or listen to it, it's awesome.
Good one. Quick, easy read.
Yeah, but the biggest thing to remember is words matter, right?
Impeccable with your word.
Impeccable with your word. That's exactly it. What you promise you want to follow through with. But it's having the confidence in yourself. It's not I think about it, or I think what the best thing would be to do, or my recommendation would be. You want to say, look, the way that I protect you is, or the way that we make you as strong as possible is we do this, right? and it's just a more concrete feeling. So you'll see it as you're doing it, because as you're trying to do it and you're trying to be careful with your words. Go ahead. You got to go.
Yeah, I'm gonna head out because this dog is freaking out and he needs
Awesome.
to go out,
Yeah,
and I gotta
I
get
know you
Ollie.
got to go.
So.
Awesome
All right,
job. Thank you,
I'll
Yvette.
talk to you guys a little bit later.
Thanks,
I'll call you in a little bit, Leslie, so we can go over that counter.
Sounds good.
good.
Probably we should send it over to Gail though, because she is anxious, and just let her know we'll call her to discuss it.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll send it over.
The thing is, I wanted to explain it to her as she received it. Otherwise, she might start freaking out over something that probably wouldn't.
Well, call her before you send it over to her then.
Okay.
You know,
All right.
and then just send it to her while you're on the phone with her.
All right.
Okay.
I'll call you when I'm back from getting Ollie.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Sweet. We'll see you. No, Leslie,
Hey, Brenda.
awesome. I hope, I hope I know it can feel uncomfortable as we're talking about, like, when we're practicing and it's like, oh, the authority and what these people do.
Mm-hmm.
You have so much potential in terms of in the progress of what you've made already. And you're so close to just taking it to that next level, that it's these little fine tuning things that it's just going to be game changer. You're already doing great, but it's going to be even better, So I appreciate how receptive you're being, and I hope you're not taking it as any type of judgment, or anything towards the negative, because it's who you are, and you're what the light that you beam out. You can't. That's what's special, and that's what people are attracted to, and that's what is going to continue to earn trust. So now it's, once you've earned that, how do you make sure that you're able to lead them to where you need to do? And you got to have everything with it. You got to know it and be able to explain it. But I like the way you started talking about contingencies. And the only thing, just short to the point, what's contingency again? What's a quick definition of contingency? Do you remember?
It's the 3 ways that we have out of the contract.
Before that, that's the way you explain it. What's
good faith, way out of the contract?
Good faith, way out, and good faith excuse. It's a good faith excuse.
Faith excuse.
There's bad faith. Some people go into things with bad faith. They know they write a high offer and they're just banking on a low appraisal. That's bad faith. That should be wrong to do that, because other people don't get it because somebody's like playing the game dirty, right? That's bad faith. Good faith is they write that high and they plan to pay that amount of money. That's working in good faith. So good faith excuse is a legit way out. We came across this situation. It just didn't work out. And then the way on Zillow, when they put contingency, what you said was right, that it could be a contingent thing. Most of the times they put contingency, though, it doesn't always mean that. It could just mean it's under contract and all the contingencies haven't been removed.
Oh, okay.
Do you see what I'm saying? So when it says it could be a little bit misleading. The only way you would know that is if you called them and found out that, they're trying to find another place, or you look on the agent remarks and it says home of choice contingency, then it is 2 things that are tied together. And those are good ones to watch in a competitive market like this right now. You got to start looking past the active properties and waiting for the active. You got to start looking at under contract and which ones have been on for more than 21 days, those kinds of things, so that you start thinking outside the box. Maybe after all that frustration, all the other buyers fell off, now you can come in and be that one backup. So if that first one falls out, now you got it.
Right. That makes sense.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, awesome job. I hope, I want to rewatch this too, because I think there's a lot of good that came from it, but
same.
Just want to make sure you're good. It seems a little bit.
I'm good. I can take it. I can take constructive criticism. I feel like that's the only way to grow. And, if the day I can't take that kind of criticism, I shouldn't be in this business. So I get it.
No,
it's really important.
You definitely have shown that you should be in this business. More than that is, it's good to be coachable and it's good to be open-minded. And I know Yvette sees your strengths as well. And she sees, areas that obviously you can speak with a little more conviction and more promise, and it's controlled enthusiasm. It's not getting excited just for the sake of getting excited. You can tell when I elevate, when I start, my voice changes, or I start getting more stern or more definite in what it is that I'm saying. And that's all it is. It's the words that you choose to show them the confidence that you're sure of what you're sharing with them.
Right.
But if you don't, then it's okay to say, you know what, I'm not 100% sure about that. Let me find out and I'll get back to you. But we do want to be able to reflex based on the question, answer the question. Try not to circle around it, because then it looks like you don't know the answer to it, you know? So I do the circle around stuff, but I do know the answer, and I eventually get back to it and then answer the question.
Yeah.
Don't do that though. It's a bad habit, you know, and you can still do the explanation, but you got to hit it first. So,
no, and Brendan, there's been moments like in real estate where I've seen the effectiveness of what the outcome that I ended up doing in that moment. Of course, they're rare moments, but
no, it's not
I
rare.
see what you mean in like the conviction of, and the way to speak, and even the tones. What I've noticed this week is my tone needs to stay consistent with my words too, because it makes a difference the way you say things. But I've always had such a hard time with that. I don't even, my tone sometimes doesn't really mean what I mean. It's just how I speak, but I understand there's room for improvement. So.
Well, it's and that's what I'm saying. It's not looking at in a negative way by any means. Your tone, I think your tone is endearing, and that's positive, right? So now it's just figuring out, it's the word choice,
Yeah.
and getting straight to the point. So if I just ask you, so why, why would it be? And you said, well, let me tell you this, or let me share this with you. And that's good. These are transition questions that kind of let you gather your thoughts and get to it. Well, let me share this with you. Or you ask them the question and you kind of flip the question. Well, tell me a little bit more what you're asking, because your question's pretty general, right? So I'm going to hone in specifically, because I want to see what's going on in their head. And I want to know. So if they say, well, I don't want to be homeless. Well, tell me why you're concerned about being homeless. Well, if we sell our house and we can't find a place, then we have nowhere to go. I don't have any family around here. I don't want to have to rent somewhere else. Like, it's just such a process. Like, how can you guarantee me we're going to find the right house?
Right.
And say, well, obviously nobody has a crystal ball, but what we do know is a lot of people do want to move right now. And that springtime is typically when it does pick up. So what we have to do though is we got to be ready when that right home comes up. And if we're not ready, we're just going to miss it. But if we are ready, and and the right opportunity comes up, now you got your dream house in the right neighborhood because you did it. It's not like, okay, I see the house I want. Now let me hurry up and get my house on the market and make everything work out and close both of these concurrently. It can happen. It's very stressful to do it that way. The more prudent way to do it is to start with the sale part sooner and control that situation, know what we're going to walk away with, know how much money we're going to make, and then start looking for the properties. Because once this is done, and we got this pretty solidified and we've done it because we took advantage of this time of the market, now we can take our time with the protections that I have with these contracts. And that's what I can promise you, because you're not the only one trying to do this right now. And these contracts have to be very clear that as long as we do it in the correct way, which I have a team to ensure that we do that, right? And you just say that we have the support and we've done this multiple times, you're going to be okay. And I promise you, that's where my promise comes out. I promise you, you're not going to be homeless, and you're not going to sell your house without getting your replacement property. If I can put that protection in place, would you be willing then to list your home?
Right.
You see? So now I went back to the close. So I answered their question, and then I flipped it to a close. If I can assure you with what you're concerned about, then would you be willing to list your house with me?
Right.
And that's it. And
That's
they should say, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
There's just that tension that people have, that they're not going to go forward until you can figure out how to break that tension. And those are objections. And that's why the objections are the best things to practice. So that issue, when that came to me, it was at night, and it just light bulb went off. I was like, this is what we're going to talk about. I'm telling you, it's the biggest money maker you can make this year. So you do that, you're not just getting that purchase, you're getting that listing and that purchase. And even if you save them some money on the listing side, that purchase is going to be nice. And you can figure out a way to tie the two together. So if you're going to give them any credit on that listing, tie it to the purchase and say that, okay, well, I'll give you a $2,500 credit. We're going to do 5% on your listing. That $2,500 credit will come to you at the close of escrow on your purchase as a closing cost credit. And then that way you get at least your 2.5% on your listing side. You guarantee that you get your purchase on the other side. You tie it both together. They feel like you're taking care of them and everything's good to go.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
That's your buyer broker.
Yeah.
Sound
No,
good?
of course. Sounds good.
Cool.
You know what, Brendan? I'm going to want to go over this video as well
Good.
and take notes. And
To be honest, I think this is one of the better ones because I'll tell you, the idea came to me and I knew it's something to talk about. So I hope every time I keep focusing on you, and it's not like I don't want Yvette ever to feel left out, or like if Amy's on here, I don't want her to feel left out. It's because I know where you're at right now, and I know that if we have these conversations and you keep practicing, you keep doing it, you'll see the difference. It's gonna happen. I don't want you feeling like, oh, I just need to know. It's not the A to Z map. That's part of it. But you know most of that. You've been through transactions. You know what happens. You know what changes, but you know what happens. It's the hurdles. Right. It's the objections that we have to practice. And once you can overcome those with strength and authority, you're going to be gold. I mean, it's just going to be game over. Just don't leave me, as quickly as you figure all that out.
Absolutely not. Thank you, Brendan. No, I'm always appreciative of everything. I can't wait to just have all this be secondhand, where I'm not thinking, because unfortunately that is exactly what happens to me. I look away and I think, okay, what's my answer to their question? But I do remember those moments where I've had the answer to the question immediately, and it was super effective. And I think to myself, why can't that happen every time?
So if you can do me a favor, and this is just something, because as I'm hearing it out loud, I think it'd be very helpful in your journal, or even come up with an objection journal.
Okay.
Have your own separate journal. And every time you get asked a question that you want to have better answered it, write the question down. Write what answer you put, and then let's talk about it. Okay?
Okay. Got it.
Start keeping track of all those questions. You're going to see a lot of them are the same questions that keep coming up. And we need to figure it out, diagnose it, and then just master it. And once you start mastering it, it's going to be second nature, and it's going to be cake. Because there isn't 100 or 1,000 or 1,000,000 different questions. It's always, when they talk about objection handling, there's like 40 of them. There's 40 main objections that buyers have had for like the last 40 years, 40, 50 years. It's the same things of why people don't do anything or why they don't move from their house. Well, they think it's the prices. They think it's the rates. They think it's whatever their excuse is. Everybody has excuses not to take action. Our job is to cut through that and help them take action.
Right.
And so what I see what you're doing, your prospecting is great. Especially if we keep these internet leads going, you have mastered. I mean, it always can get better, but you've mastered it to where you feel very confident and fluid, and you can talk to anybody on those phone calls, and it's great. Speaking of, I need to write it down. I'm going to send you a bunch more.
Okay.
If you're good with that. Yeah.
A few of them have become stale. Like you can tell they had the fire in them, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, we're gonna wait.
It happens, and then again, even though they've gone stale, keep them on a list. Like it's organizing them. So put the tags in Brivity and just put that this is a buyer looking at Oxnard or whatever. And then when an opportunity comes up, so my listing that came up, right? The first thing you should do the second you see it, a post or whatever, is you start going through your list. Who do I have that may be interested in it? Maybe they're not looking in Southeast Oxnard, but who do I have that may be interested? The point, if you can sell it, great, right? That's not the point. The point is you got some candy, you got some value, you got something that they want. Now there's a reason for them to talk to you. And all it does is re-engage you with those people. And then now all of a sudden that fire sparks back up. Okay. So those are like two nuggets right there.
I like that you brought that up. I actually had I left a voicemail to 2 people on Pro Agent, and they called me back. So that was good. We're engaged again.
Good. Well, if I don't want to get your hopes up too much on that particular property, but I just got an email today that it's with VCCDC, and there's unemployment income or whatever that just came in that could throw it off. So there is a chance it could become available again. Now, my seller, and this is the truth of it's the most unique situation I've ever dealt with. Now I get it with the concern with COVID, but he only wants one person at a time coming in the house. He only wants to do it on the weekend, right? So then after we put it on the MLS and I get bombarded with calls, he tells me I had 4 appointment slots on Sunday that I can allow 4 people to see it.
That's it?
4 people in total. Well, then we go into escrow, and a lot of that was just to shut it off and be done and lock it up and not have more people have to come through his house, right? So I was grateful that happened. I was grateful it shut it off. Now it's also helping him with the next piece of being able to look for a property, but there's a chance it could fall out. I do have another subject to inspection, so he's going to see it on Sunday, I think at 12 o'clock. I'll probably go there to open the door, and then he's going to go in. But Sal doesn't want me to be in there with him at the same time and talking, because a droplet could fall down, even though we're wearing the mask. And that's how concerned he is. So he wants it one person at a time, wearing gloves, wearing booties, wearing the mask, not touching anything. He's going to leave the doors, he'll leave the cabinets open, and then he's got the windows up to air it out. And then after everybody's done, they wait in the garage for like an hour to make sure everything's good, and then they go inside the house.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the situation. So with that being said, call people up. Let them know there's a chance that you may be able to get an in. Don't oversell it, because there's a stronger chance you won't be able to get them into it. But what you can do is it can at least generate the conversation. You can start talking about other properties. And if you have somebody who you know is qualified, hopefully with, David or, somebody, but somebody really strong, and it's a real good potential, and you need to get in there. He's given me permission for 4, but that was before we went into escrow. So now I have one set up and possibly a second one. So there's one person I got to call back, and I'm going to talk to him and say, hey, dude, we need to do those 4 again. I just got news that there's a chance that, that the first one may not work out. So we need to use those 4 slots. I know he's not going to want to do it. So just sharing with you, because I'm trying to help you out, but also set the expectations with you so you can set it with your buyers. There's a good chance you may not get in. And tell them, say it's already in escrow. Chance it could fall out. It's a great opportunity. It's got a lot of interest, and it's under 500,000. HOA is at $490 a month though.
It's the one that you mentioned to me when we role played, right?
Yep. 480 is actually the asking price. 490 was the HOA. It's about 1,900 square feet, a little over. It's like 1960. 3-bedroom plus a loft that's been converted, and it's a beautiful house. The issue there is location, Southeast Oxnard. It's a little rough. There's a lot of transient, like homeless people that are starting to walk around the outside of it. And then, it's the HOA has gone up once a year since they moved in 6 years ago. Started at 350, now it's at 490, and no utilities are included. It just covers the maintenance, trees, a lot of open grass areas. I mean, it is a nice community, but it's just kind of in a rough surrounding area, but a little bit tucked away. So, but if anybody sees it, they love it, because it's the best house you're going to get with that size and an attached 2-car garage for under 500,000.
Wow. Yeah. What was the street it was on?
Olds Road. So it's 3620 Olds Road.
Olds Road. Okay. I'll I mean, that's a good price range, because usually pro agent leads are looking in that price range. So, or lower sometimes. So.
Well, I'll send you a bunch more so you can make some more calls and, set some more stuff up. I hope this is helpful. I was trying to focus this training on something on the listing side, something that's going to help you take listings, but more than anything, kind of in coaching or whatever you want to call it, just where you realize, okay, if I can just pay attention to this and keep track of this and get better at it, it's going to continue. That's where I saw like certain people just go from where they were struggling to just breakthroughs, and then they had it all figured out. And I don't see why you aren't going to do that. There's nothing that should prevent you from becoming what you're capable of becoming. And I really, truly hope that this helps, and that I'm able to help guide you and get you to what I know you're capable of doing. So.
Oh, I'm ready. Once I get how to do this, and and it becomes secondhand, I'm ready to go out there and get that momentum going for sellers. So
well, just so you know, as Ken was blasting his people, I was praising you, and he was just like, he's like, I always knew it. He just says it every single time. I always knew it. I always knew Leslie was gonna be a rock star. He's like, yeah. He's like, I knew it, and I'm like, yeah, well, you're right. I said she's awesome. So
nice.
we're
It's
hitting.
nice for both of you.
Well, I mean, Ken will tell you good, bad, or ugly, and usually doesn't have, a whole lot of tact or patience with what he's going to deliver, and he knows it and he says it, but he's as real as it gets in terms of saying that. So no compliment like that. He doesn't just do it just for the sake of doing it. And I hope for me, it's always sincere. I'll tell you exactly the same thing, good, bad, or ugly. I just try to do it, in
I
the
appreciate
most
it.
constructive way I can, but to help us get to where we can be. And I don't got it all figured out, but I've figured a lot of things out, and I've gotten a lot of coaching and a lot of tough talks to get, to what I've been able to figure out. So just getting started, it's going to be a big year though.
Mm-hmm. No, and I'm trying to learn. I always have, it's funny because I always have a little Brandon on my shoulder that's helping me, coaching me as I'm going through situations. I'm like, what would Brandon do in this situation?
Yeah,
and usually I'm able to figure it out, and I'm like, yeah, this is exactly what he would do, and the outcome turns out good, but I know that practice is what will make it as perfect as possible.
Identify it first and just take it one step at a time. And again, journal. Like I would maybe have even a separate, I got like a little journal over here that it's just I can't find my other one, so this one's like a little tiny one. Just have something like that and just write the questions down every time. And if you think you know the answer, write what your answer is. And then if you want to compare it, give me the question, and then I'll tell you what my answer would be, and write it down. Ask Yvette, write her answer down, and you're going to get different perspectives. And then you'll figure out, okay, this is the way to say it with the most strength, the most authority, most conviction. Where you don't, and it's not every time. I'm telling you, I've been stumped a lot of time, and I may have lost some points with Andrew and Danielle and their parents. So the mom, it's almost like she keeps asking me questions, trying to show me that she knows more than I do about Camarillo, about houses, about whatever. And I'm like, I don't know. And I've said, I don't know how many times. And she could be like, well, what do you know? Like, what do you bring to the table? And if she really feels that way, that's on her. But I know what I bring to the table. So I don't need to be anything that I don't need to be. And that's the biggest thing I want to share with you is you don't need to be anything different than who you are today or ever moving forward. Be you and be real. Be confident and know that you got the answers, and know that whatever that first gut feeling tells you, even if it's the wrong one, say it, and just say with conviction, well, you know what, this, I'm trying to make sure I'm hearing your question right, but this is what I believe you're asking, and this is what my belief the solution is, or this is how I would handle that, or this is how we approach that. And when they see that enough times, they know it's like, all right, she knows what she's talking about. We feel really good with Leslie. So you got that part there. You have the trust, but you got to build it, because I know there are times where I can tell that you're hesitating, and they sense that, and it doesn't help. This is what they're trusting you for, is to guide them through that.
Right. No, of course. And like, for example, with Gail and Ralph, I know that this offers a big breaking point, or a big point in our client and agent relationship. So that's why I wanted to get it straight right now, like go through it and explain it. I'm probably gonna practice it a little bit and then give them a call to let them know, okay, this is what this entails, right? To see what their response is.
Why do you think it could be a breaking point?
Not breaking point. I think it's more of a gaining more trust point, right? So, if I'm able to guide them through this, then they'll be like, okay, good. I mean, even if we don't get this one, at least the next one, we're confident that we have the agent that will guide us through it, right? It will protect us through it.
The key is they want you to listen, okay? You can tell them what to do to try to be the most competitive, and they leave it open-ended. The one thing you can do with the way I counter a best and final is I say 1,000 higher than the highest offer.
Right.
And they probably won't feel comfortable with that, right? But if you tell them that and say, look, what that does, that means that we're not going to lose this over price. We'll see what that price is. that price is too high and you guys aren't happy with that, then guess what? I said, at least you got a counter because you wrote 3 under asking price. They didn't have to counter you. They're trying to weed out. So they countered you because you got a good amount of money down. So if you put 1,000 higher than the highest, then you're not going to lose it over price. Then when you see what the price is, then you could say, nah, sorry, that's higher than we feel comfortable with. We wish you the best of luck. Nobody loses, but you don't lose based on price. That's if they want this house. Now, if they're like, oh, it's it'd be nice, but we're not gonna pay X amount of dollars for it. Say that's great. Thank you for sharing that with me, and we'll do our best to put the counter at that price. If they take it, great. If they don't, so be it, right? But the best thing you can do to solidify the relationship is it's not about them getting this house or not. If they want it, you do everything in your power to get it, and you give them the right strategy and approach. Right. But the biggest thing is you got their back, whether they move forward or not.
Right.
That's what they want. How many more days out are you before you can show property? I know you're waiting for the doctor, right?
I lost you for a second, so I can't see you. But I have, at least by Sunday, this Sunday, the doctor would have cleared me because it would have been 10 days after my last symptom. I was thinking of just getting a test this week and just to, just to make sure.
Right.
But yeah, this weekend should be it. Cool. And then also, Brendan, your dad sent me, or he didn't send it to me yet, but he asked me if I can work with clients that they have.
Okay.
For next week. So, yeah, I just want to make sure I'm clear before I do that. I want to, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I want to protect people around me. So.
No, for sure. I'm just clicking on a bunch that just came through. There's actually a few that are online right now. So I'm gonna send you a bunch of leads. So you'll have some before.
Thank you.
Of course. No, thank you for doing what you're doing. And just appreciate you being a team player and, with Yvette. And again, it's Yvette's she's a star. You're a star. Like we have a sick team. Our team could kill it. If we can all get along, play nice in the sandbox and figure out, and I'm not saying that we don't, but you know what I mean? Things are going to happen. Challenges are going to happen. There's things that we're going to need to communicate. I want everybody to feel good. And there are times that we compromise, and it's part of giving, and then you get, it comes. But just like my dad reaching out, that's awesome, and it's going to happen. Opportunities are going to come that you're not even expecting. Be ready to work, and then do the best that you can. So through that process. And then when you do it and you convert and you get them into a place, guess who's getting the next call? You're going to get the next one. So that's the way it works. That's why it's so critical for me to do it the right way for, getting that buyer, their offer accepted with VCCDC, because that's going to be more referrals coming in, and I'm not going to be able to help them all out. There's going to be certain situations I'm going to ask you to help, and help me with that too. So I'm already getting pretty close to where I'm at my max for buyers. Now I need to get more listings, and there's going to be extra, buyers that it's like, I'm like, Leslie, can you help me out with this,
Of course, I'm here. I'm ready.
Sounds good. Well, let me send those over to you. Thank you for being on this. I know it went even longer, but it's our main training for the week. So, to reach out to me if you need anything. I do these last, I'd say 24 to more than that, probably last 3 days have just been nonstop. So apologize in advance if I can't be as quick and receptive. But that's why I'm grateful for Yvette that you have her to lean on too, so but don't hesitate and reach out if you need anything. Okay.
Okay. Perfect. And then I'll keep you posted on Poinsettia. Cool. I'm going to call David right now. And
yeah, let me know. I mean, handle it the way you can, but just say, hey, we need some answers. It's getting close to everything being jeopardized, and then nothing's going to work out here. So we need some definitive answers. I know you're doing the best you can. And then, just say that Brandon did want to be in on this call. He wants to know what's going on here. So just please keep me posted so I can keep him updated. And then just, make it like I'm being the one that's being pushy or whatever,
Yeah, absolutely. The good news is, I know out of all this weird news, but the good news is he did, before he even opened escrow, he warned Harold, hey, this could potentially take 10 days extra.
Right. Are we past 10 days?
We are on the 14th we're past 10 days.
Okay. Well, he's going to start losing credibility. It's good he gave him the heads up on 10, but we're already 4 past that. So it's got to get done. You know, he's got to come up with the game. That CD's got to come in soon. Before you ask for that extension, you need that CD.
Right. Okay. Perfect.
Right. Good luck with that.
Have that conversation and sorry, I'll keep you posted.
Cool. All right. It's good to see that look like you're getting better. So glad to see you healing.
I can't wait to be out.
Cool. Steven, is he doing better too?
Yeah, he's back to work on the 14th.
Great. Awesome.
So
cool.
So he's
all right, guys. Well, we'll be in touch.
Sounds good. Thank you, Brendan.
No problem. Bye-bye.
Bye.